has been 5 years since the full release of Subnautica, which is just crazy to think about. It feels like just yesterday when I was watching 8-Bit Ryan playing the early access version back in 2016. I've seen so many Subnautica videos and always loved the game. It will always be my favourite game. But now that I'm older, I decided that I want to make something about Subnautica. So why not a video covering the game's entire storyline? So let's get started. For us to understand the story, I will start with the events that happen thousands of years before the game. In the game's universe, there was an advanced race of aliens known as the Architects. The Architects discovered a deadly bacterium known as the Kara bacterium on an outer planet during a routine network expansion. A network error caused their routine quarantine procedure to fail, which led to an outbreak of the bacterium. This led to an estimated amount of 143 billion deaths on the core world. After this tragic event, the Architects finally quarantined their core world, and they brought the Kara bacterium to isolated disease research facilities, one of these being Planet 4546b, in order to research and develop a cure. The Architects construct a quarantine enforcement platform, disease research facility, alien thermal plant, and a sanctuary cache on the planet. After exploring the planet, the Architects discover the Sea Emperor Leviathan species, and after further research, they find out that this species can produce enzyme 42, which is a compound that provides immunity to the Kara bacterium. They construct a primary containment facility and capture a 1,600-year-old Sea Emperor Leviathan. They also capture her 7 eggs. After testing the living Sea Emperor Leviathan, the Architects discover that she is too old to produce enzyme 42 that is strong enough to work as a permanent cure against the bacterium. So the Architects desperately turn to the unborn eggs, on the premise that a younger specimen would produce stronger enzymes. The Sea Emperor Leviathan attempts to telepathically communicate to the Architects that forcefully hatching the eggs would not work, but they could not hear. The reason behind this is unknown. Becoming even more desperate, the Architects dissect a Sea Emperor Leviathan egg to study the fetus, but this process killed the fetus. The Architects place the remaining 5 Sea Emperor Leviathan eggs into the incubator device. After this, the Architects take a Sea Dragon Leviathan egg to the disease research facility to study Leviathan class egg hatching conditions, so that maybe they could find a way to hatch the Sea Emperor's eggs. This ends up being their demise though, as the parent Sea Dragon tracks down the egg and rams headfirst into the facility, destroying the facility and causing the release of the Kara on the planet. The Sea Dragon died shortly after due to the head damage, and its skeleton can be found in the game. The Architects subsequently initiate a planetary quarantine, activating the quarantine enforcement platform. This platform will shoot down any kind of ship that comes near the planet, so that the Kara cannot spread. The Kara tragically kills a majority of species on the planet, forcing the species to rapidly evolve to match the drastic changes in the ecosystem. The Sea Emperor Leviathan species is killed off due to their food source being wiped out by the Kara, except for the last remaining specimen and her eggs, as they were being kept in the primary containment facility. The remaining Architects evacuate to their sanctuary caches, which kind of act as a cloud storage system, but for their minds. They then dispose of their bodies and upload their minds to data hubs. It is believed that any remaining Architects who did not upload their minds to caches were killed off by the Kara bacterium. We must now skip hundreds of years to the events of the Degasi. The Degasi was a Mongolian ship that was owned by the Torgal Corporation and manned by 6 people. The ship crashed on planet 4546b while it was en route to a space station. This happened around a decade before the events of Subnautica. There were only 3 Degasi survivors. They were called Marguerite, Paul, and Bart. The Degasi survivors built their bases on the floating island. However, due to heavy rainfall and Marguerite's persistence, they relocate to the Jelly Shroom Cave, and Marguerite uncovers an alien tablet that belonged to the architect. The Degasi survivors relocate again to the deep Grand Reef, where Bart explains to his father and Marguerite that they are infected with something that is not recorded in the databank. This was of course the Kara. After Marguerite brings an injured Reaper Leviathan to the base, a second Reaper Leviathan, having followed Marguerite back, attacked and destroyed the base. Marguerite chased the creature, intent on killing it, whilst Paul followed a light he saw. This could have been a mesmer. Bart managed to elude the creature and fled to either the safe shallows or crash zone, and possibly the floating island. Bart manages to survive for an unspecified amount of time, able to build himself a sea base and a sea moth as seen in the trailer of the game. He eventually went back to the floating island, where he wrote his final log and most likely succumbed to the Kara. Marguerite escaped to Sector 0. Got all that? Good. We are now back to the events of the first game. The year is unknown, but we know that it is during the late 22nd century. A brand new Altera long-range capital ship called the Aurora was sent to the solar system that holds planet 4546b by the Altera Corporation to build a facegate. Its additional mission, which wasn't known by most of the crew, was an agreement made with the Mongolian independent state to search for and possibly rescue the survivors of the Degasi crew. During a gravity slingshot maneuver around planet 4546b, the quarantine enforcement platform struck the Aurora with an energy pulse on the starboard side, resulting in catastrophic hull failure and leaving it to crash land on the surface of the planet. All the starboard life pods were compromised, if not outright destroyed, by the energy pulse. Most of the port side life pods that did launch, pods 1 to 25, were either compromised or victim to the hostile ecosystem, except for life pod 5, which contained Riley Robinson, who you play as. Moments after life pod 5 launched, the beginning game cutscene plays, where you see the ship get hit again by another blast, and after that a metal plate becomes loose in the life pod. The metal plate bounces around before hitting Riley in the head and causing him to black out for approximately 3 hours. During these 3 hours, the other life pods, which all landed in separate biomes, ended up dying due to the hostile environment. As Riley begins to explore the safe shallows that his pod landed in, the Aurora main drive core explodes, making the waters radioactive and forcing Riley to create a suit to protect himself against the radiation. After 1 week has passed, the Sunbeam, a passing cargo ship captained by Avery Quinn, picks up a distress call and comes to rescue Riley. The Sunbeam sends the coordinates for the mountain island where they will land. As the Sunbeam prepares to land, the quarantine enforcement platform powers on and destroys the Sunbeam, with Riley only being able to helplessly watch. Riley then explores this quarantine enforcement platform and discovers alien tablets, the control room, and the approximate location of the disease research facility. After exploring the mountain island, Riley finds the alien arch within and activates it, taking him to the floating island, where he also discovers the Degasi sea bases. After managing to find resources and create vehicles to aid him with his exploration, Riley goes to the disease research facility. He discovers the nature of the Kara bacterium and realizes that he is infected. While down there, Riley embarks on a grueling trip through the Lost River and Lava Zone, until he ultimately reaches the alien thermal plant and attains a blue tablet, which will act as a key for another location. While Riley was in the depths of the lava zone, he discovers the primary containment facility and encounters the now 2,600-year-old Sea Emperor Leviathan. The Sea Emperor Leviathan telepathically communicates with Riley and explains that its eggs must be hatched to eradicate Kara. Riley hatches the eggs by gathering various flora from different biomes after getting the recipe to the hatching enzymes. And the Sea Emperor Leviathan babies release the stable form of enzyme 42. Riley interacts with the enzyme and is thus cured. After playing with their parent, the babies leave the aquarium through the arch behind the incubator. The parent stays behind as it is far too large to travel through the arch. Eventually it dies here, although we never get to see this. Riley then goes through the aquarium arch, which is connected to an arch on a suspended platform close to the quarantine enforcement platform. He enters, and now cured, can disable the weapon, allowing him to escape. Riley returns to the now destroyed Aurora and obtains the Neptune escape rocket blueprints, and after finding the materials, he eventually constructs it. After entering the rocket, he activates it and blasts off from planet 4546b. While orbiting the planet, the Sea Emperor Leviathan communicates with Riley one last time, saying an emotional goodbye to the player. Just before he leaves the system, heading back to Earth, Alterra finds out about the value that this planet holds, and they send out ships to further investigate the planet, now without any risk of being shot down, as the bacterium was cured by Riley thanks to the eggs being hatched. Any event after this happens in Subnautica Below Zero, which is the sequel to this game. And this concludes my video on the storyline of the first Subnautica game. If you made it this far, then you don't even know how much I appreciate it. And I'm very sorry for you having to deal with my terrible storytelling voice through this. This is my first ever video with my voice, so I do plan to get better with time, get better pacing, better pitch, and so on. I hope that you now see why I am so fascinated and interested in the game and its story. Even if only one person sees this video, then it was worth making it. I truly thank you for your time, and I hopefully will see you in any future videos I make. Goodbye.